My friend, when everything in your life begins to shake, when doors that once opened easily now seem locked tight, when people who once stood beside you suddenly disappear, when your prayers feel like they're bouncing off the ceiling instead of reaching heaven, listen to me carefully. God is not absent. He's not ignoring you. He's preparing you. What feels like abandonment is actually divine preparation. What sounds like silence is actually strategy. God is not punishing you. He is positioning you. Before God promotes, He tests. Before God releases, He refines. Before God lifts you into promise, He strengthens your heart through pressure. Many cry out for blessing but aren't ready for the weight it carries. They want the breakthrough, but not the process that builds the strength to sustain it. God cannot pour great glory into a vessel that still cracks under pressure. So, He allows discomfort. He allows misunderstanding. He allows seasons of waiting and delay, not to break you, but to build you. Like gold purified in fire, your faith must be tested through trials. It's not because God delights in your pain, it's because He sees your potential. Every chosen person in history walked through a valley before standing on their mountain. God's testing is never about destruction, it's about direction. He tests to position you for the promise. He hides you before He reveals you. He breaks you before He builds you. He empties you before He fills you. And in every test, one question echoes through the heavens. Will you still trust me when you cannot see the plan? Will you still hold on to God's hand when the light fades and uncertainty surrounds you? Will you still say, God, I believe you are working, even when nothing seems to make sense? Sometimes the test begins when everything familiar starts to crumble. You might lose the job you thought you needed. You might face betrayal from people you never thought would hurt you. You might feel like your prayers have lost their power. But what if this isn't a sign of loss? What if it's a sign of transition? What if God isn't taking something from you, but shifting you into something greater? Every time God prepares to elevate you, He strips away what cannot survive at that level. The test feels like a loss, but it's actually the making of your destiny. There are moments when God hides your success to protect your soul. You think He's forgotten you, but He's covering you. You think the world has passed you by, but God has set you apart. The test is not meant to destroy your faith, it's meant to deepen it. In the hidden place, God watches how you respond when no one is watching. Will you still worship when the applause stops? Will you stay faithful when blessings are delayed? Will you stand firm when the winds of uncertainty blow against you? God tests your patience to see if you trust His timing. He tests your obedience to see if you trust His will. So, when everything begins to shake, stand still. You are not being buried. You are being planted, and soon you will rise stronger, refined, and ready for the promise He has prepared for you. He tests your humility to see if you can handle greatness without pride. Every delay, every rejection, every moment of silence is a classroom where your soul is being instructed. You may not understand it now, but one day you will look back and say, if I hadn't gone through that season, I would not have become this strong. God's testing seasons are not about punishment. They are about preparation. When God tests you, He often removes the people and things that made you feel secure. He allows you to stand alone so that you may learn that your true strength was never in them. It was always in Him. The test is meant to isolate you from dependence on man so that you may depend fully on God. And when you finally stop running to others for validation and comfort, you will begin to hear God's voice clearly. The noise fades and His whisper becomes louder. If your life feels like it's falling apart, it might be falling into divine order. God sometimes allows confusion before clarity because He wants to rearrange your foundation. You may think the situation is chaotic, but in the unseen, God is aligning every piece of your future. He is removing what will not serve you in the next season. He is closing the doors that would lead you to destruction. The test is not random. It is precise. Every trial has a purpose. Every delay carries wisdom. When God is testing you before your breakthrough, You will notice that your prayers feel unanswered. But silence is not absence. When God is silent, He is observing. When He hides His face, He is examining your heart. He wants to see if you serve Him for who He is, not just for what He gives. Anyone can praise God when everything is going well. But true faith is revealed when you can say, God, I trust you, even when nothing makes sense. Sometimes God will strip away everything you relied on to reveal that He alone is enough. You might lose the job, but you will find the purpose. You might lose the relationship, but you will discover peace. You might lose the opportunity, but you will uncover strength. Every loss under God's watch, polyi, is a strategic. The test is meant to detach your heart from temporary things so that you can be anchored in eternal trust. There are seasons when God seems to delay your breakthrough, not because He wants to hurt you, but because He is protecting you from premature promotion. What if the very thing you are praying for right now would destroy you if it came too soon? God delays not to deny, but to develop. He waits until your character matches your calling. He waits until your spirit is strong enough to carry the weight of what He has prepared. And when that moment comes, no power in heaven or earth can stop what He has ordained for you. When you are being tested, you will be tempted to complain. You will feel like quitting. You will question why God allowed this to happen. But I tell you, don't curse the test. Bless it. The very test that breaks you will also build you. The fire that burns away your comfort will also purify your character. If you can endure this season without losing faith, you will walk into your next season with power. Every tear you cry in this valley will water the soil of your future harvest. You see, God often tests your faith through contradiction. He gives you a promise and then allows everything around you to contradict that promise. You believe for healing, but the pain increases. You believe for provision, but the bills multiply. You believe for promotion, but doors close. Why? Because God wants to see if you believe His word above your circumstances. Faith is not proven in comfort. It is proven in contradiction. And those who hold on in contradiction are the ones who see the manifestation of God's power. There will be days when you say, God, I can't take anymore. But that is when you must remember the moment just before dawn is always the darkest. The moment before your breakthrough will test every ounce of faith within you. That is when you must stand firm. Do not let your emotions make you forget what God has spoken. Do not let temporary pain make you abandon eternal purpose. The test is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to qualify you for what is coming. God tests you because He loves you. He allows you to walk through storms, so you may learn that the waves cannot drown what God has destined. He allows you to face closed doors so that when He opens the right one, you will recognize the value of the opportunity. He allows people to reject you so that you stop seeking human approval and begin to rest in divine acceptance. The pain is not random. It is training. When you are in the test, remember this truth. God never wastes pain. Every disappointment is a divine appointment in disguise. Every tear is counted. Every sleepless night is recorded. And when the time comes, God will restore not only what you lost, but also the strength and wisdom you gained through the test. You will not come out the same. You will come out refined, wiser, and unshakably anchored in faith. Sometimes God's tests feel like a wilderness season. Nothing grows easily. Nothing flows naturally. You feel dry, weary, and forgotten. But remember, the wilderness is the proving ground of the faithful. It is where God teaches you to depend on His voice alone. In the wilderness, there are no shortcuts, no distractions, no applause, just you and God. And it is in that quiet, stripped-down space that He reveals your true identity. When you can trust God in the wilderness, you will be prepared for the promised land. When you can praise Him in the pain, you will be prepared for the platform. When you can thank Him for the test, you will be ready for the testimony. God is shaping you for something greater than you can see right now. Your breakthrough is not just about you. It is about the lives that will be touched through your obedience. When God is testing you before your breakthrough, He begins to expose what cannot go with you into your next season. There are habits, relationships, and thought patterns that serve the purpose in your past, but they will not survive in your future. The test will feel like loss, but it is actually liberation. God begins to remove the unnecessary weights from your soul, because where He is taking you requires purity, not clutter. You cannot step into the fullness of a divine destiny while still holding on to things that keep you bound. That is why God shakes your foundation, not to destroy it, but to rebuild it stronger, deeper, and unshakable. There will be moments in the testing season when you ask, "Why me, God? Why now?" But the truth is, God chose you for this very test because He knows what He has placed inside you. He knows the strength that has not yet been revealed. He knows the faith that has not yet been fully expressed. God does not test the weak. He tests the strong. He tests those whom He intends to promote. So if you feel like the fire has been turned up in your life, it is a sign that something powerful is about to be birthed within you. God refines those He plans to elevate. The intensity of the test is a reflection of the greatness of the assignment. When the pressure increases, it is because the promise is near. When the attacks intensify, it is because the enemy senses what God is about to release. Do not be surprised when you face a position just before breakthrough. It is the pattern of divine destiny. Before every elevation, there comes agitation. Before every new level, there comes a storm. God allows it because He wants to see if you can remain steadfast under pressure. Anyone can worship in comfort, but true strength is revealed when you can stand firm in chaos and say, "God, I still trust you." You must understand that God's testing is not meant to take from you. It is meant to transform you. In the process of the test, God is molding your heart, reshaping your character, and stretching your faith. The very pain you wish to escape is the pain that will make you wiser. The very delay you despise is the delay that will protect you. Every moment of discomfort is an opportunity for deeper surrender. When you say, "God, not my will but yours," you pass the test that leads to destiny. Sometimes God's tests are disguised as disappointments. You prayed for something you thought was good, but God said no. You tried to make a plan work, but every door closed. You felt frustrated because you thought God wasn't answering, but in truth, He was answering by protecting you. A closed door is not rejection. It is divine redirection. When God blocks something, is because He sees the future you cannot see. The path you wanted might have looked easier, but it was not safer. God's no is never the end. It's the beginning of something better. When God is testing you, He often allows you to walk through seasons where nothing seems to make sense. You will feel like you're walking in circles, praying with no result, giving without return, and believing without visible evidence. But in that unseen space, God is aligning everything in divine order. The roots are growing beneath the soil. Even when the tree seems lifeless, your prayers are building momentum in the unseen realm. Just because you cannot see the breakthrough does not mean it is not coming. God works in silence because He's not preparing something small. He's preparing something extraordinary. There will be times when God tests your loyalty. He will observe how you act when no one is applauding. He will see how you serve when the spotlight fades. The test of character is not how you act when everyone celebrates you. It is how you act when no one sees you. If you can remain faithful in the small things, God will trust you with the greater things. Do not despise your hidden season, for it is in that hiddenness that God refines your spirit. The foundation of your destiny is being built in silence. Sometimes the test comes through people. God will allow others to misunderstand you, betray you, or criticize you unjustly. Not because He wants to humiliate you, but because He wants to humble you. He wants to free you from the need to be understood, from the desire for validation, from the dependence on human approval. When you can face rejection and still keep your peace, you have passed one of the highest forms of divine testing. When your value is no longer defined by who accepts or rejects you, you become unstoppable. God's testing is deeply personal. It targets the areas of your life where your trust in Him is still weak. If you rely on finances, He will test you through lack. If you rely on relationships, He will test you through isolation. If you rely on comfort, He will test you through discomfort. Not to punish, but to purify. The goal of the test is to remove every crutch so that your faith stands solely on God. You cannot call it faith if it depends on visible proof. Real faith begins where certainty ends. When God tests you, He does not look at your performance. He looks at your posture. He looks at the attitude of your heart. Are you still grateful even when you have less? Are you still kind even when others are cruel? Are you still hopeful even when everything looks impossible? These are the questions that define your test. God examines your heart not to expose your weakness but to awaken your strength. He sees the diamond within the dust, the power within the pain, the promise within the process. When the weight feels unbearable, remember this: God never gives a test beyond what you can handle. If you are in it, it is because He has already equipped you for it. You may feel weak, but within you lies a strength that has not yet been revealed. God would not allow this storm if He did not intend for you to walk out of it victorious. The test is not there to defeat you. It is there to reveal who you truly are under pressure. The closer you get to your breakthrough, the more intense the test becomes. That is why so many people give up right before their blessing arrives. The enemy wants you to quit at the final stretch. But you must press on. You must remind yourself, I've come too far to turn back now. The moment you feel like giving up is often the moment just before everything changes. The test is the hardest right before it ends. God wants to see if you can hold your faith steady until the very last moment. God's testing is a sacred sign of trust. He does not waste His test on those without potential. If you are being tested, it means God sees something in you that even you cannot see. The trial you are facing is proof that heaven has invested in your destiny. God does not test unprepared. He tests those who are ready for the next dimension. You might not feel ready, but God knows you are. You just need to believe that this fire will not consume you. It will purify you. When you feel forgotten, remember that God hides what He values most. Diamonds are hidden in the earth. Gold is buried deep beneath the ground. And seeds are planted in the dark before they bloom in the light. If you are hidden, it's because God is preparing you to shine at the appointed time. Do not despise your hidden season. It is sacred. It is where your roots grow deep. Your spirit matures and your character strengthens. There is something holy about being tested. It is in the test that your relationship with God becomes real. It is in the test that your dependence shifts from self to surrender. It is in the test that you begin to hear the still small voice of God more clearly than ever before. And when you finally emerge from that season, you will carry a wisdom and authority that no book, no mentor, no experience could ever give you. Because wisdom born of a testing cannot be taught. It must be lived. You see, every great breakthrough comes after a great breaking. The soil must be broken before the seed can grow. The night must fall before the dawn can rise. The heart must be tested before it can carry divine power. The breaking does not mean God has abandoned you. It means He is trusting you with transformation. If you can remain faithful in your breaking, your blessing will overflow beyond the imagination. The test may seem long, but God's timing is perfect. He is not late. He is not distant. He's not silent. He is waiting for the moment when every lesson has been learned, every weakness has been strengthened, every fear has been conquered, and then in a single moment, not by force, not by luck, but by divine decree. And when it comes, it will make sense why you had to wait. When God is testing you before your breakthrough, the greatest battle you will ever face is not outside of you. It is within you. It is the battle between faith and fear, between trust and doubt, between surrender and control. The test exposes what still fights against God's will inside your heart. You may say with your lips, I trust God. But when everything begins to crumble, does your heart still believe it? When the bank account empties, when the diagnosis arrives, when friends walk away, can you still whisper, God, you are in control? That is where real faith is proven, not in words, but in quiet endurance. God allows the shaking to show you whether your foundation rests on emotions or on unshakable trust. The test is not about how loudly you pray when things go well. It's about how deeply you believe when things go wrong. God already knows what's in your heart, but He allows the test so you can see it too. He exposes the areas where fear still hides, where impatience still lives, where pride still lingers. The purpose is not to shame you, but to strengthen you. Because once you know your weakness, you can surrender it to God. Once you see the cracks, you can invite His hand to heal them. The test is the revelation before transformation. In the testing season, God begins to reorder your priorities. He takes away the false securities you once leaned on so that your trust returns to Him alone. You will notice how things that once mattered so much start losing their power over you. Status, possessions, validation, these things no longer satisfy your spirit. That is not lost. That is purification. God is detaching your soul from distractions because He wants to give you something that cannot be shaken. When everything else fades, His presence remains. When everyone else leaves, His hand still holds you. That is the purpose of the test, to teach you that when you have God, you have everything. Sometimes the test comes through silence. There are seasons when it feels as if heaven is closed, when you cry and no answer comes, when you seek and no sign appears. But silence does not mean absence. God is always speaking, just not in the ways you expect. In the silence, He trains your ear to hear the whisper, not the noise. In the quiet, He matures your faith so that you no longer depend on signs or emotions, but on conviction. Silence is a sacred. It is the language of divine intimacy. When God is silent, it means He trusts you to walk by faith. Do not mistake the test for punishment. If God wanted to punish you, He would not refine you. He would remove you. But the fact that He is still working in your life means He has not given up on you. Every test you face is a sign that God still sees greatness in you. He disciplines those He loves because He wants to bring forth something powerful through them. The greater the calling, the greater the testing. You cannot carry divine power with an untested heart. God will not place the crown of destiny on a soul that cannot handle the weight of adversity. The test ensures that when the blessing arrives, it will not destroy you. It will strengthen you. The test also reveals who is truly with you. When God starts preparing you for your breakthrough, He will separate you from those who are not meant to walk into your next season. The same people who cheered for you in comfort may disappear when the trial begins. Do not chase them. Let them go. Their departure is not rejection. It is divine protection. God is creating space for new alignments, for people who will support your growth and honor your journey. Every time someone leaves, thank God. Every time a door closes, thank God. Because if He was essential for your destiny, it would have stayed. When God is testing you, He may allow your plans to fail, not because they are wrong, but because they are too small. You thought your dream was big, but God's vision for your life is far greater. You wanted a comfort. He wanted the character. You wanted the progress. He wanted transformation. So He shakes your plans so you can learn to trust the disappointment. You feel today is often the foundation of tomorrow's miracle. What you thought was the end was actually the turning point. Every delay in God's plan is pregnant with a divine purpose. You will also notice that during your testing, people who seem less faithful might appear to be more blessed. You will look around and ask, God, why are others moving ahead while I am stuck? But God's testing is individual. He is not measuring you by anyone else's timeline. While others may be enjoying temporary blessings, you are being prepared for something eternal. Do not compare your process with theirs. God's work in you is unique. He's not rushing because He wants to build a foundation that cannot be shaken by fame, failure, or fortune. Sometimes God's tests are hidden within opportunities. Not every open door is from Him. Some doors are traps that test your discernment. You may be offered something that looks good but would pull you away from God's purpose. When you are aligned with the divine will, you will begin to sense peace or disturbance deep in your spirit. That is the inner compass of God guiding you. The test then becomes whether you will choose convenience or conviction. The breakthrough only comes when you choose God over gain, truth over temptation, integrity over comfort. During the test, your emotions will scream for relief, but your spirit must learn to wait. God's timing is perfect because He sees the whole picture while you only see a piece. Every delay, every detour, every pause has meaning. The waiting season is not wasted. It is woven into your destiny. God uses waiting to mature your spirit, to strengthen your patience, and to align your desires with His will. Waiting is the soil where trust grows. When you learn to wait well, you show heaven that you are ready to receive what has been prepared for you. There are times when God tests your endurance through repeated challenges. Just when you think you have overcome one obstacle, another appears. Do not lose heart. It is the layering of strength. God builds resilience through repetition. Every wave that hits you does not drown you. It trains you. You are becoming spiritually stronger, wiser, more discerning. The very situations that once broke you are now teaching you mastery. That is the purpose of prolonged testing, to turn you from a survivor into a warrior. When you are being tested, God does not want perfection. He wants persistence. You may stumble, but rise again. You may doubt, but hold on. You may cry, but keep moving forward. The test is not about never falling. It is about never quitting. The true measure of faith is endurance under pressure. God watches not how fast you run, but how faithfully you finish. Your persistence in the test becomes your power in the breakthrough. There will also be tests of humility. God may bless you in small ways first to see how you handle it. Will you give Him glory for the little before He trusts you with the great? The humble heart attracts divine favor. Pride blocks blessing faster than sin ever could. When God lifts you, stay low before Him. Never forget every victory, every open door, every answered prayer is not a result of your strength, but His mercy. The test of humility never ends, because humility is the foundation of divine favor. Sometimes God tests you through responsibility. He places something small in your hands and watches how you treat it. If you are faithful with little, He will trust you with much. But if you neglect what seems insignificant, how can He trust you with abundance? Every blessing begins as a test. The position you pray for, the resources you seek, the influence you desire, each one carries a test within it. God only blesses those who have proven they can carry His favor with integrity. And in the middle of that testing, never forget, God is closer than you think. You may not feel Him, but He sees every tear, hears every whisper, and measures every moment of endurance. His eyes are upon you not to condemn, but to guide. He delights in those who remain steadfast, who keep believing even when everything inside them screams give up. Each act of faith in the dark sends ripples through the unseen realm. Heaven is watching, and at the appointed time, the breakthrough comes not slowly, not partially, but suddenly. One day, you will wake up and realize everything you went through had purpose. The tears taught you wisdom. The silence taught you discernment. The pain taught you compassion. The waiting taught you faith. And when the breakthrough arrives, it will come like sunrise after a long night. You'll understand that the test wasn't meant to delay you, it was meant to define you. You'll look back and say, now I see God was never late. He was preparing me. And when your breakthrough comes, it won't just be a blessing, it will be a testimony. Others will see what you endured and find strength to endure their own. Your story will become someone else's survival guide. That's why you can't quit in the middle of your process. Your obedience is connected to the destiny of others. God is using your life as a message to the world that faith, when tested, always triumphs. So hold on a little longer. The test is the doorway to transformation. The pain is the prophecy of purpose. The silence is the sign that something sacred is forming. Do not fear the fire, it's forging your future. Do not curse the storm, it's carrying you closer to your destiny. Every moment of this test is divine. Every tear is counted. Every prayer is heard. And when it's over, you won't just receive what you prayed for. You'll become who God destined you to be.